What's up, everybody? This is another edition of Lyle's Movie Files. Joining me, as always, is little brother Jayce. How you doing, bro? Shot?
Doing good. How are you, bro?
I'm coolin', and the force is one with me, and I'm loving it right now. Chief, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on?
Coolin'. You look like you're ready to go take out some younglings with their hood up, man.
No. About to take out these pillows.
Equally as soft and non-threatening. Alright, so let's talk about it. We got a flashback in Obi-Wan Kenobi today with Obi-Wan and Anakin. Not quite what I was expecting, but oh man, the show is I don't know, it's the TV equivalent of life. And I can't get enough of this show. We got one more episode. I think that's good for a reason only related to Miss Marvel, because it's really hard to stay up at 3 o'clock in the morning, write the recap, and then go, oh right, there's another Disney Plus that opened up on 3 a.m. in the morning. So yeah, this is why that West Coast life is so good for some people. But for me, it's like, all right, it's 5 o'clock. It's time to go to bed. You must go to bed. Anyhow, Obi-Wan Kenobi. We have been enjoying it. Chief, before we get into this week's episode, what's your thoughts been on the show?
The last couple shows definitely picked up. First few episodes, I wasn't in. I just thought they were kind of cutty.
Now, what was cutty about it?
I really like the fact that he was sent there to watch over Luke, right? Protect him, and then he let his skills go. How do you devote your life to protecting someone and then let those protection skills fail? I mean, what was he going to do if someone had actually come for the kid? It just didn't make any sense. Then Obi-Wan, he turned into like a coward.
All right, hold on. I want to talk about what you're saying, because that's good, interesting dialogue here. I think what happened, he was watching Luke letting his skills go, but he also couldn't keep his skills precisely home because there's a bunch of Jedi killers looking for Jedi. So if he's so tapped into the Force, they're going to find him. And then nobody's there to help Luke. So to some regard, letting the Force go was protecting Luke. And he couldn't be this dead-on Jedi because all the Inquisitors would be coming and gunning for him.
Because, at that point, he's like one of the... basically after Order 66, he's like one of the strongest Force users in the whole galaxy. So, how they can sense stuff is like, wait a minute, there's a disturbance in the Force. I think I know where it is.
Talk, man. Because when he first... because when he first went out and hid, he was at his all-powerful time, and they didn't find him. Yoda is still powerful as hell, and they haven't found him. When the first one, been for years.
Like, Yoda, the reason he's kind of being able to hide, even if he hasn't let his skills deteriorate, which I'm going to say Empire Strikes Back, his skills have deteriorated, but it's because...
Damn punk!
But it's like there's enough dark side and light side indegability. He can be hidden in that environment. But Ben is just in a regular city where he could be hidden.
Okay, so my point is this: Ben is at the height when he goes into hiding, right? He goes to Tatooine when he goes into hiding. At that point in time, when he first goes into hiding, he's still at the height of his Force powers.
Mm-hmm.
They're actively looking for Ben at that point. They're looking for all of them. Kenobi, Yoda, whoever got away, they're actively looking for him at that point. So,
well, hold on, because he didn't just have an army of Inquisitors at the ready. He had to get them trained and all that good stuff. I don't know about the backstory of the Inquisitors, bro, but, they didn't start off the day after Darth Vader put on the armor, right?
I understand that, but I'm saying people have been looking for Obi-Wan for the past 10 years.
But only the Force users would be able to find him. And I don't know. So you were also saying he was a coward. You weren't liking that part.
No, I didn't like that part. So I just felt like, because I felt like, to me, I don't know. To me, like Vader, like people can sense certain things about the Force user, but I feel like maybe at that time, at the height of his Force, he could have taken the time to try to shield it or something. I don't know. But I just didn't like the way they had started out. I mean, he looks just bad against Vader when he fought him. Vader was one-handed him. You know what I mean? It wasn't even like he was looking even deep. Like, even if you lost your Force skills, right? You can't, you telling me all those hours training with a lightsaber, that's gone too? You're that bad? Like, I mean,
I think that's a combination of Vader being a super beast at that point. He's just rage consumed, and nobody can hang with him at this point. This is Vader at his peak.
Bro, I get that, man. But at the same time, you are just looking like we could have went in there and gave Obi-Wan, some problems with his. I mean, he was holding a lightsaber. He was holding it like, I mean, it was just crazy, man. I was just like, yo, what is he doing?
Remember, he hasn't seen Vader, so he's got he just basically like, oh, he's still alive. Then he actually sees Vader for the first time, like, what the hell happened to you? And then he's like, I'm what you made me, like, and I'm gonna now just torture you for the next 5 minutes, destroying you and showing you aren't as good as me now.
Yeah, it was just too much. I was like, yo, and I was just like, yo, he should have came better than that. And it was just, So I didn't like the way they just portrayed. I thought he would be more, in those first few episodes. I get that, even if you're saying he's hiding, he's doing this, he's doing that, but I mean, he was a Jedi Master. It wasn't like he was some guy on the come up. You know what I mean? He was one of the top. He was one of the top boys out there, and he just, at a certain point in time, and I don't know. So, as the show progressed, I guess he got back in touch with the Force. I mean, now he's deflecting, 48-hour period or whatever it is. He's deflecting blasts and stuff from guns, and he's got his military strategy back, and I guess So the things it progressed, but the beginning of it, I was just like, yo, what are you doing, man? What is this? You should run and hide and bury your lightsaber in the desert. What? Even when the Inquisitors came, like, for example, those 3 Inquisitors, it was the 3 of them, it was Third Sister, it was the Grand Inquisitor, and it was some other dude.
Fifth
brother.
Yeah. The old Obi-Wan Kenobi could have took them all. If his skills, you know what I mean? Let me tell you something, man. Vader defeated Shorty off the. I mean, when I say
hold on, you're going too far. You're going too far, man. We're gonna talk about that in a second.
Well, what I'm just saying is that even at half that strength, he should have been able to go through and defeat all the Inquisitors. That's all.
Yeah. Let's say this. It's like, you're right. He could have easily. I mean, the Inquisitors are like half-trained Jedi / They are very basic. Just Vader just sends them out like, get out of my face. I don't have any use for you guys.
So to hide from him, he could have kept his skills up. When they found him, dispatched of them.
Yeah, but the other thing is, if he hides from him, he starts dispatching Inquisitors. Vader's just gonna bomb the planet.
Yeah.
It's very much like, if I see you, even if I can't find you, I'll just destroy everything. That's kind of like how in the second episode he's like, no, eventually I'm just gonna torture enough people so you shall. And if you're Kenobi dropping bodies, I'm just gonna raise the whole plane and be done with you. Be like, man, I'm done. I'm good.
He's not raising anything. He's gonna come down to try to find him. And if he figures it's Tatooine, he can't draw attention on Tatooine. He has to lay super low, because Anakin be like, "Oh, you're on my world? Bet I'm coming down right now." And the first person he'd go after would be his half brother, because he's like, "Yeah, dude, I'm coming for you too," or whatever he is, his stepbrother to him, and that would immediately lead him to Luke. So he could go throughout the rest of the galaxy saving Leia and all that stuff, but he cannot do anything on Tatooine, because that's the worst place for him to be a hero again. But now let's move on. I've loved PTSD Obi-Wan, because I don't need him being a super Jedi at the start. He needs to have shown that emotional just frame after watching so many Jedi get killed, knowing so many are dead, and seeing the Empire just rain havoc on everybody. Now he's decided he needs to do something to help Leia, if nothing else. So this 5th episode, the last one before the season, hopefully just the season finale, Obi-Wan and Leia. See, last week you missed us complaining about how Reva knew everything, Chief, and how she put the tracker on Lola. That was whack. But she was hyped up. And Jayce, I watched that scene in Rogue One again, where Vader just tears through the rebels. They definitely have done something to fix James Earl Jones' voice to make it more like Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. And I don't know if they'd up the gain and put the bass up higher, but it definitely doesn't sound like it did in Rogue One. Rogue One, I actually want them now to fix his voice the way they did it in this one, because it feels like strong, powerful Darth Vader, not like I'm doing this voice in 2018, 2017, whenever Rogue One came out. I think it was 2015. Anyway, the voice is better, stronger, and he sounds pissed off.
This episode was perfect. It was like, oh shoot, that's Vader.
Yeah,
like, that wasn't James Earl Jones. That was like in a comic convention where James Earl Jones is talking. It was more Rogue One. This was Rebel. I mean, this was Star Wars.
You saying Rogue One? He sounded weaker.
Go back and look and watch it. And his voice. I mean, it's Darth Vader, but it sounds like James Earl Jones recording it whenever that movie was made. This sounds like how Vader has sounded through everything that he was before. So the original trilogy, Clone Wars, I guess not Clone Wars, Rebels, but they kind of fixed it. So they've tweaked it, done some stuff where it's like, yes, this is Darth Vader's voice right here, right now.
Like this is the one, the guy who said, "I want them alive." Very much sounds like, okay, yeah, I'm afraid of this dude.
Apology accepted, Vader. So Reva's like, yeah, got him, and she gets her big moment. She gets named the Grand Inquisitor, and they go down to the planet, and it's this race against time. And I don't know if y'all felt this, but I definitely was getting Last Jedi vibes, where they're at a base, they've got it walled off, gated off, and the Imperials are at the gate storming, trying to come through. Only this time the Jedi actually comes out. And it's not a Force ghost. It's not an illusion. Obi-Wan is actually here.
Well, this one actually has a competent plan. Everybody's in on the plan.
I guess.
It's like, hey, I'm going to wall off the place and let them come in. Oh, that would make sense.
Yeah. And then he has this conversation with Reva, where we finally learn that Reva was one of the younglings who saw Anakin's transformation to Darth Vader. And he's coming through and slashing away. And this joint had a warning before. Like, this may be sensitive, and it's kind of weird that they're having to do this with a Star Wars fantasy galaxy far, far away kind of story, and how it's mirroring stuff that's actually happening still in the real world. But Reva played dead, and Vader apparently didn't want to kill this one. I guess maybe he sensed her anger and fear and decided, maybe it should be of use later. So Reva's grand plan all this time, she's been hunting down Jedi because she didn't care about the Jedi. The Jedi did nothing to help her friends. There were no adult Jedi saving the day. They were just getting killed. And so she said, I gotta do it myself, like Thanos. And so she's gonna get better, and she's gonna just embrace all that anger, fear, and rage and become a Sith. And she's gonna kill Vader herself. She didn't need Obi-Wan. She didn't need anybody. And then she called out Obi-Wan. He was your apprentice. You see what he's done now. And Obi-Wan didn't have a lot of words for her on that. All right, Jayce, what did you think of Reva's plan to assassinate Vader?
That was just stupid. She had no chance in ways of successfully beating Vader. I mean, it's not even if you saw how strong. I mean, because they're supposed to be force sensitive, they should know how strong another person is. Like, I have no chance. Like, she should know she has no chance, even with Anakin having no limbs. You're not going to beat him straight up in a duel. You need to basically catch him when he's not aware. You need to, like, you need to lay a trap for him. You can't beat him straight up. But I guess Obi-Wan kind of used her rage. He's like, I know I can't beat him. I know she can't beat him. But I can use her, for the good, for the greater good from a certain point of view.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting because this is the first time we see Obi-Wan go, nope, you're not listening, and I'm not going to do this fight. I'm going to put somebody else between me and Vader, and hopefully they can stop him. But I know she's not going to, and I'm not going to try to sit here and argue with her. I'm just going to use her as my means to escape, like he would eventually do for Luke and Leia.
Yeah, because it's not even like if the is like, the two of us together can be there. It's like, no, I know we can.
What's it going to take to beat him? What's it going to take to stop him? Not us. That Rebel scene was so great. It was like, oh, shoot. Like, Rebels had some awesome Vader moments very quietly. Like, if you're into Star Wars, you should definitely watch Rebels because they provide some amazing Darth Vader sequences. They're not a lot, but what we do get is great. All right, so then Reva sends her troops through they break the gate and start coming through and fighting. And Tala and Ned B go down. And this really made me feel a Rogue One flashback here because it's like the loyal droid gets killed. Tala, who was just too gangster to survive. I was upset about that because I was hoping that they'd keep her around. So maybe in the second season, they could tease a love interest for Obi-Wan, like Satine. You kind of have him, well, I'm not a Jedi anymore. I guess I could fall in love with somebody, have a personal attachment to someone. Maybe. But I get why they killed her off because they didn't want to go down that path with Obi-Wan either.
Then you have to explain why he's like, you can say, oh, well, he knows he has one focus and it ain't about his life. His life is still the life of sacrifice of the Jedi.
Satine. Tala could have gotten killed later. That was all. They could have just kept teasing it, building to it like they did with Satine, and then all of a sudden, no! There's still 9 more years that we haven't accounted for yet. You could have.
I'm just hoping we get. How many seasons would you like the show to go?
I mean, I think there's a lot of Star Wars in between where we are, Rogue One and New Hope, to go 3-4 seasons with Obi-Wan, especially at 6 episodes. There's that rumor that they're gonna release the whole series in theaters as a movie experience, which would be kind of cool.
The 6-hour movie?
They're not an hour. Like, one of those episodes was only 38 minutes. So, and with recaps and credits, I don't think they're actually 48 and 52 minutes like some of them when you press play. They may be closer to 42 or 40 minutes. And that 38 one was probably more like 35 after the recap and credits wrap. I keep forgetting to see if there's a post-credits, but I guess that's more of a Marvel thing and not a Star Wars thing. So anyhow, then Reva's repelled for a bit after Tala throws a grenade, and then pissed off, Darth Vader rise. But I keep forgetting to mention this really cool aspect of this episode. We get a Clone Wars, Attack of the Clones era flashback of Obi-Wan and Anakin training. It's the most dangerous, reckless training ever. They're using lightsabers, not even like staffs to kind of practice. They're using straight up lightsabers. So if Anakin goes off a little bit too hard, Obi-Wan may be short of arm. What y'all think about this flashback in seeing the Padawan braid? I was thinking we were going to get a Clone Wars full glory clone armor, Obi-Wan and Anakin, but nah, we go Attack of the Clones era.
The funny thing is, like, I really was thinking they were going to do the little DH technology, but I guess they were like, nah, this costs too much on budget. We're just you're gonna enjoy it anyway, so just live with it. And it was kind of like that. I'm like, I would have, but it's also cool to see them, like, you kind of got that feel of them actually doing the same kind of, like, unlike sparring on Mustafar, it was like basically like the same kind of energy, where it's like, no, like these dudes really did go at it, and Obi-Wan really had no chance on. When he doesn't have the high ground, he has no chance against Anakin.
Even early.
So, and how Anakin says that, I'm the best duelist in this joint, except Master Yoda. I mean, Obi-Wan's like, no, you're not. But you see very much where he has that assumption, like, Obi-Wan's beating Darth Maul, but he still is like, has no chance against Anakin.
It's like he knows eventually he's not going to be able to outsmart him. In that fight that we saw, he wins because he's still more experienced and knows Anakin's weakness as a duelist, as a sword fighter, and he's like, all right, I can still beat you using some tricks. It's like the 30-year-old knowing how to beat a 19-year-old just because they've done it longer. They may not be able to match up athletically on that same level anymore, but they have enough experience and guile that they can still snatch a lightsaber and be like, ha, see, that's how I beat you. I didn't even need a lightsaber to get the upper hand on you, but I know eventually I will not win under any circumstance. So Chief, what'd you think about that flashback?
I thought it was funny that Jayce said, man, I said, damn, I said, Anakin in his 40s. But it was very relevant to the episode. I mean, Anakin always on the attack. I mean, it comes to this, cause found it kind of funny. By that way of thinking for Obi-Wan, he knew that he was before Anakin even jumped, that he was gonna end up slicing this dude's arms and legs off in a move. You know what I mean? Because when you push that back and then you think, and then you say, he's like, hey, I got the high ground. It's over.
Yeah, he's warning him like,
yeah. He was saying that he knew Anakin wasn't going to stop there. He's got the Energizer Gold thing on. And he was like, yo, I got the high ground. It's over. But at the same time, he was like, this dude's going to jump at me anyway. So it's kind of funny to watch that thought process take place, and then the thought process now in the second battle afterwards, as enemies. Second battle as enemies. How that thought process still allowed him to beat Anakin or now Vader. Mm-hmm. And then if you go to just him on the last one, when they last fought, he said, if you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you. But then, he knows Vader's going to attack. So he, even saying that, he knew Vader wasn't going to be like, well, maybe I should just put you in a cage and you know what I mean, and lock you up. He's like, no, I'm going to kill you here. So, it was definitely a cool flashback. I don't know if I want to see Obi-Wan as a movie, because you said they were thinking about turning it into a movie.
Yeah, they're just going to let it run through.
What I think they messed up on, in all honesty, was not coming out with 2 or 3 Clone War movies.
I don't know. I mean, Jayce was saying, how many seasons of Obi-Wan would I want? dude, they could just give me a full season of Clone Wars live action, bring in Tamara Morrison, and have him play everyone, and I'm good. I mean, jeez, what's that girl?
Do we need another season of Obi-Wan? Honestly, I mean,
I would 100% take another season of Obi-Wan.
I'll definitely sign up for another. My thing is, I could do like 4, because you gotta get to the point where it's close to Rebels, but and then it still needs a little gap. I still want some unexplained territory. That's my thing. I don't want 10 seasons of this or something like that.
Yeah, I'm thinking 4, and then the last season we're seeing Obi-Wan's hair fully go, like Ewan McGregor fully going white, gray hair. So it'll sort of ease that transition to Alec Guinness. I don't know why I said McGinnis. But yeah, I could totally see a full season of them doing Clone Wars as flashbacks, occasionally modern, current, post Clone Wars. Obi-Wan trying to do some stuff, maybe testing Luke in some subtle way that we're not even realizing it, that Luke's not even realizing it. But I'd like to see that. So I could totally watch that, especially if we watch young Luke and Leia further as we progress through Obi-Wan. Like, that's cool. Anyway, so now main event time. Vader lands on the planet, and I love how you described him. He's just hard charging. He never backs down. He's always full, all gas, zero brakes. He removed the brake pad because he doesn't believe in it, and he looks so intimidating in his armor, and he's not walking gracefully and slow like he in A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. He has a reputation, so he's not rushing. He understands the value of being an intimidator. So he's like, yeah, this joint, he's just moving fast because he doesn't care. He's not trying to be a threat. He is still mad all the time. And he's this close to getting Obi-Wan. And he's like, oh, yeah. And, of course, he sees all the stormtroopers like, you dumb idiots. Why can't you do anything right? And then that crazy part, he opens the gate and he sees the ship start to go. And he's like, no. Come here. Get over here. That was crazy. We've seen a scene like that in Force Awakens. In the comic books, Vader does that too, and it's just like, whoa. And then, you got some people online who are super smart and go, well, why didn't he just stop the other ship? But he clearly is like, got a little wind going to him. He's like, you got me again, Obi-Wan. And I'm figuring he's just mad all over again because he escaped. And he's not like, let me go get this other ship. He's like, you mother. And then he feels Reva coming. It's like, all right, let me deal with her right now. So Reva's plan did not quite go as well as she thought. She went full rage. She couldn't touch him. He didn't even have a lightsaber. He didn't pull his lightsaber off of his belt. He's like, you're not worth this. I'm just going to do a little force magic push. Like, he raises her lightsaber up at one time and then pushes her later. It's like, dude, you're not messing around in this fight. And she is so mad, and she can't do anything. She hasn't learned enough Sith rage to use it to help her. She's just mad. And he is taunting and playing with her like a cat with a mouse. Like, oh, go ahead, do something. Yeah, got you again. It was wild. What y'all think about this fight? Or fight?
I kind of like, because I know I said last week, it was very much going to be a point where Vader was going to kill him. I didn't expect Vader was going to just like, I didn't expect the turn or her Reva's rationale, but how Vader very easily dispatched her. Like, hey, I'm not taking my lightsaber off my belt. I'm going to break your Inquisitor lightsaber in half and then toss it to you. Because I'm not even dirtying up my own lightsaber to get rid of you. And just completely embarrassed her. It was like, ow. Like, this dude, I mean, like, how you were saying, like, he's moving with speed. It's not like the slow, methodical guy who's fighting Luke Skywalker. He's moving swiftly and fast. Like, I can dodge every little crap you do. And it's almost more intimidating. It's like, oh gosh, like, this dude can do everything. He rips a ship down. And then now he's just pointing, throwing the lightsaber around like, ooh, don't care. Bobbing, weaving. And then he's like, oh, you try your big hit? I'm just going to kill you. I mean, or at least, just embarrass you, stab you, and not even bother finishing you off.
And you raise an interesting question, because in Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, Vader is nowhere near this Rey that we're seeing in these shows. I'm starting to wonder now if after killing Obi-Wan, all of his intensity and rage just goes because that was his driving force, and he's like, all right, well, I've won everything. There's no Jedi here for me to face, and I can just choke out people who get on my nerves now, and there's nothing really to do. Because he really seems to like taunting his opponents and intimidating them. But the rebellion, there's no one really on his level, and he's just like, whatever. You guys are suckers. Chief, what'd you think about that fight, if we'd like to call it that?
It was extremely powerful. I don't think it could have been 40 Reavers, and they would have all just taken it out. It was just good. It was good. It was good. It was good TV to watch, man. It was watching Vader because we all watch that Rogue One scene when he comes on, and the reason why we watch it is because we never really see Vader really doing anything. We see him fight Luke, but it's not even really, you know what I mean? It's after watching the fights from 2 and 3, or even one, you realize there's so much more to lightsaber fights. And then when you watch, him fight Luke at 6, you're like, this joint's kind of, this joint kind of. But now that Rogue One joint, you see him come and you see him at full strength and he's just twirling that thing like a baton and cutting through people. And then now you see him coming on this Obi-Wan joint. He arrives on the planet, like I said, he's just killing people for fun. He just pulled the boy out the room, snapped his neck. Even the flashback of him killing the younglings, they were all like, and then you just see his face and he just starts to, just to stab into him. And you're watching this ruthless version of Darth Vader that you never quite saw. And this dude is, like I said, he's just all powerful, man. He was basically just using his hand, just get out of here, and I loved it, man. She was so small to him that he did not even bother to kill her. It's almost like being slapped, where somebody doesn't respect you enough to close their hand, and he just kind of stuck her and was like, yeah, I'm gonna leave you here on this planet. I'm gonna holler. And just got his ship and rolled out, man. I was like, oh, so that's how you doing them. I'm not even worried about you coming back for me. You were so underpowered.
I'm not worried about you coming back for me twice. Right. I'm not worried.
Because you might still not have a chance.
So two things about what you said, Chief, were really interesting. Watching that scene in the Death Star, not the Death Star, in the Star Destroyer, where Vader's talking to the Emperor, has a little bit more context now. Because he's telling him, yo, this kid who destroyed the Death Star is your kid. And this gives me more, alright, Vader could go harder if he really wanted to. But it's his son. He's not going to go hard and kill his kid. He really wants him to join the Sith and become his master and to get rid of Palpatine. Because I'm sure over all this time, he's like, this dude set me up. But now I've got my kid. We can do this thing. I'm not gonna kill him. I'm gonna play taunt, fight with him, kind of like Obi-Wan did with me. But we know that Vader could absolutely have gone off if he wanted to. But it's his son that he's fighting. We never see him fight anybody else. And I think with that New Hope fight, he's like, oh my gosh, I get one more turn to fight and kill Obi-Wan? Great. I'm not gonna rush through. He's too old now. He can't beat me. I'm going to savor this moment.
Well, remember, this time he's actually saying, like, he senses that Obi-Wan is going to die.
You should not have come back.
He's like, his plan is not escape. I'm taking him out this time.
But also, you have to take into context too. Not that I don't think Vader was as powerful in the final joint, and the reason why that is he was older.
He got soft.
Older.
Yeah.
His. I'm sure every year that goes by, those wounds aren't getting better. You know what I mean? That he's in the back of the tank still. We still talking 10 years later, and this dude is still in the back of the tank. So I think that his injuries are even taking a further toll. I mean, you don't get better when you get older. You know what I mean? Things that hamper you in your youth increasingly hamper you when you're older. So I think that is a thing too why Vader wasn't as powerful as he was in these older joints. So by the time he fought Luke, I think he was, it wasn't like he was fighting Jedi.
Nah, he wasn't.
So he was, but he was also, now we're talking 20 years have gone by at that point.
Yeah, how much time had passed between Star Wars and Empire? Do we have any set established time frame between them? Because
Luke was 19 when he killed everybody on Tatooine.
Right.
Then you figure that was Star Wars. Then with a year or two at least had to go by for Empire.
Right.
And then another 2 or 3 years had to go by for Return of the Jedi because he disappeared to become a Jedi for a while. So you're talking maybe 25 years later?
Okay, wait. And this is a weird thing, like, because we see at the end of Revenge of the Sith that they're doing the outline of the Death Star, but we don't see the Death Star in essence for another 10 years.
Dude, they probably screwed it up. Galen Erso is probably the one who figured out a way to make it work. They could keep that sucker under construction and continually botch it. And we also don't know when that scene is when they're looking at the Death Star. It could have been much further along because George probably was like, I'm done with the story. We're not going to revisit it in any context. So I'll just show a teaser of things to come.
It was 19 years later.
Yeah.
So that's just what a few days before he runs into that's when he's chasing after Leia basically at that point. He catches up with Leia a couple hours later.
From Rogue One?
No, that's Rogue One. I'm talking Revenge. Yeah, like Revenge of the Sith is 19 years.
Right, early.
But like Jeff said, like Galen Erso was probably screwing up enough of it that it was delaying it so it wasn't done in a year or two. Like,
no, what I'm saying is Galen, they were probably trying to figure out what the heck is not making this thing work. And they brought in, let's say, Galen Erso a decade later. So that first thing that they show, that shell of the Death Star, it's just not working. So Galen has to come and help fix it, but he's already disillusioned with the Empire. So he's trying to build problems with it. Then when he leaves, he's like, all right, cool. They'll never know. And then he's like, oh, shoot, they found me. So I think that helps explain that gap from the Sith Death Star to the actual one that's in action in Rogue One, just destroying and wiping out planets.
Well, I just meant because like you're using time frames, like from Death Star 1 to Death Star 2, it must have been 5 or 6 years for them to construct a second fully functional Death Star.
Oh, I'm just assuming at that point they figured out how to do it. Yeah. Not 19 years or something.
But then, you figure to build something the size of a damn moon.
Yeah, and it wasn't completed either. It was halfway done.
It just the weapon worked, but the Death Star still had holes and shit in it.
Yeah, it was still under construction. Coming soon.
Yeah,
Death Star 2.
You know what was interesting? The lightsabers. Were those lightsabers from dead Jedi, or?
I got the impression that they were Jedi who were like, we're putting it down. We're going to live our life like Roken's wife, who said, this life is too dangerous. Here, add this to the trophy case. I don't want any part of it anymore.
I wonder, like, because everyone, like, the people who can read the Star Wars language, like, there probably is, like, the Jedi who's like, yo, I was here, here's my lightsaber, I'm out. Like, they'll probably, like, in the next couple of days, they'll find out who some of those Jedi's lightsabers were.
Right. From those who do the super deep dive. All right, well, that was this episode. It was crazy. It was wild. Season finale. I assume we'll get one more clash with Vader and Obi-Wan just to send us home happy. And maybe tease season 2. But one thing we know for sure is Hayden Christensen is being very coy about future appearances as Darth Vader. And if they're as good as they've been in Obi-Wan, I'm all for it. He did a recent interview with Screen Rant, and they asked him about reprising the role in future projects. And he said, I don't know. I can't answer that question. I certainly would love to continue with this character, and I feel like there's more there to do. But we'll see. In preparing for this, I did as much research as I could, and I got to read some of these Darth Vader comics, these standalone comics that just focus on Darth Vader, and there's some really interesting stuff there. I don't know, but yeah, I would love to get to do this again.
I think, listen, I would rather see a Darth Vader one. Other than an Obi-Wan Kenobi, I'd rather see a 6-episode of Darth Vader. I'd like to see maybe a couple seasons of Darth Vader. You watch him hunt down other Jedi and do things like that.
Have you read those comics from Marvel?
No.
Oh, chief.
And I'd like to see
those comics are great.
A Luke one.
Oh, which one?
Luke.
Like digital creation Luke.
Yeah, digital creation Luke it wasn't bad.
Hey! You're talking to the absolute last person. If you think I was going to say that was a bad idea, I just want a clarification.
I think before.
Here's my pen to sign off on that.
I think they should do a Vader joint. I think they should do a Luke joint, and maybe just rotate the 3 then. If you like Kenobi, just then the next just rotate them out. One spring, one summer, one fall, and just keep doing them like that until it's over with.
I didn't realize how much I needed that until you said it right then.
I think that would be really interesting.
Yeah, but the Darth Vader,
and then he's in the Mandalorian in there, and what's his name?
Boba Fett.
My man,
Boba Fett
fell into the tank. Boba Fett.
Boba Fett. Where?
So you getting Star Wars year round at that point.
And they will continue to get my subscriptions to Disney Plus if they do that.
Yeah. So
it's time for renewal? No problem.
And then look, and then every once in a while I'll throw in a 6-series Ahsoka joint.
Hey, I'm sorry, don't you mean Rebels season 5, 6, 7?
I didn't see Rebel, but okay.
What? Oh my gosh. Now I get to be a snobby Star Wars fan. Chief, right now, dude, there's about to be a lull in Star Wars content on Disney Plus as we wait for Ahsoka. You absolutely need to just watch all of Rebels. Just take a few weeks. It's Disney Plus. It's right there.
Plus?
Oh, is it right there?
Right there, dude. It's yeah. It's as good in a lot of ways as Clone Wars. And they do really great character stuff. They tease a lot of things that are coming, and they wrap up some subplots. It's great.
I think I took for Vader in the was that in Rebels?
Yeah, dude. You just need to watch the whole joint. It's good beyond that. But yeah, man, I'd love to see them do Darth Vader just to show that if they use the comic as the model, because those comics were really good. It was the Emperor really trying to manipulate Vader and just keep going in that rage, and it was so good. So many good characters.
And then show about a bad guy.
Yeah. And as long as we had that James Earl Jones voice, or we had the James Earl Jones voice simulator where any bit of dialogue they can make it sound like he said it, I'm all for it. They can keep that going until period. Yeah. All right, well, what do you guys want to see in the season finale? Jayce, let's start with you.
I definitely want to see a rematch of Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader. I think Because that first one was very much like Darth Vader was disappointed, and this I want to see like where it gets to where Darth Vader really can say like, last I met you, you know, I was a learner, but now I'm the master. I want to see where he's like, okay, this is the dude I fought, and he still got me by just a little bit, but now that I see him in New Hope, I totally know I can beat you. I want to see like that kind of fight, but somehow I don't know how fluke you make it, but somehow Obi-Wan gets out here, and it's another time where you got Darth Vader looking like the end of Rogue One, where like I'm gonna kill him. I don't know when, but he's gone. I want to see like something that makes that happen.
Chief, how about you?
I don't know if I want to see him fight again, man. At this point, Vader's too powerful, man. You know what I mean? Like, I think, I don't know. I think it might end up being more so Reva planning I don't know. I mean, she's still alive. She's got the Tatooine information. I don't know. Obi has lost me in his skill set. And then watching Vader this episode, I'm like, Jesus, this dude is, when the funny part is, I would love to see an appearance from the Emperor. The next one. Just a small tidbit of him coming through, maybe telling Vader he has more pressing issues than Obi-Wan at the time, and that pulls him off of Obi-Wan, and he has to leave, even though he wants to get a piece of him. Vader, you will leave now. One of those joints. And it's funny.
When they showed Coruscant, like the flashback, I thought they were actually going to see the Emperor. And Vader, like, kind of like, all right, let's go off and tell you what you're really going to do. But it was like, oh, okay, we got a flashback. So, yeah, that would be cool, too.
I was, something like that, man. I don't want to, I don't know if seeing him fight would interest me again. Like, I just, watching Vader just do his thing on his own without fighting Obi was, like, just impressive enough. And at this point, I mean, I'm like, who can beat him? He's just gonna force throw Obi around, slap him. You know what I mean? So we'll see, man. We'll see what happens. So, but yeah, it should be a good episode, man. Get Leia back. So,
well, in that Revenge of the Sith fight scene, they kept showing how Obi-Wan and Anakin kept trying to use the Force push as their fight advantage, and they kept countering it. So I'm thinking that's a big deal for Darth Vader in his fights, and we saw it again with Reva. And I think with Obi-Wan back in with the Force, he will be able to counter, or at least hold him off, and because he was doing that when Vader didn't have all of his hands cut off, and I think he could hold him up a little bit because this mechanical part is being channeling the Force instead of his regular limbs. So I think maybe that could help. And maybe this is where Obi-Wan does the Darth Vader from Empire, starts using objects to fight Vader off. And then he's like, I'm going to use that later. Use it against my boy. All right, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. Unlike you, Chief, I want to see Palpatine pop up in there and like, yes, Vader. I want to see that. I'm very curious what Reva's going to do with this information, if she's going to try to kill Luke or if she's going to do something else. Lots of options on the table for that. But one thing for absolutely sure, I will be up with Coke, popcorn, and everything at 3 a.m. going, I'm ready. Bring it. All right, well, that's it for this one. Fellas, who are your nominees for Dummies of the Week? Jayce, let's break it up. Let's have you go first.
Yeah, I know I'm probably going to cut into what you're going to say is your dummy of the week, Jeff, but you provided me with the story. So, my dummy of the week is Mr. Vince McMahon. When he thought it was such a great idea to take his company public and, get all this infusion of money, but he forgot to shred all those files of the sexual harassment suits he probably would be opening himself up for with his former employees who are independent contractors, quote unquote. But the fact that there's probably still a nice little paper trail of his hush money, because I think there's alleged $3 million that he had to pay out one former employee for his sexual harassment. So, I'm sorry, no, it wasn't sexual harassment. His consensual relationship that ended poorly. So the fact that the WWE board is probably going to say, "Yeah, Mr. McMahon, it's time for you to leave here." I'm actually going to enjoy that time, but yeah, for that, he's my dummy of the week.
I would love it if they play his theme song when he's heading out the office one last time. He does a strut. That I'm not going to see that, but I'm just going to imagine that's what's going to happen. Chief, who's your nominee? You done me free. All right, mine is everybody who's listening to Amber Heard right now. Is Amber Heard's going, no, they didn't recast me in Aquaman 2. No, I'm still there. Amber Heard's credibility is about this much right now. And these websites, these organizations are like taking what she's saying as gospel. Why would we trust what she's saying? This is her only relevant news right now. And Jayce, you're looking like, you talking about me? Yes.
Well, no. Like like Variety had like article up earlier today, like reports of Amber Heard getting recast are not confirmed. That's what they're saying. They're not saying they're not true. They're just saying they're not confirmed by anybody in Warner Brothers. But it was funny. I was just watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they had the woman who played Amira from Smallville. And I'm just like, you really could just cast her and then just be done. If it's 10, Amber Heard supposedly only has 10 minutes of screen time, and there was rumor. I mean, they even Warner Brothers basically said there was no chemistry between Jason Momoa and Amber Heard, and that came out during the trial. It was like, oh wow, they really are like they were laying the groundwork to get rid of her in that trial. So it was like, I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up coming to fruition that they do get rid of her. But she's like, hey, can I keep my last $2 million check? They're like, no, not gonna happen.
Said, I really need this money.
What you don't know is they cast Ezra Miller into her role. So,
well, that won't be recast then. Because, geez, that dude is Teflon. Like, reshoot the whole movie. Good luck. That's the worst. Absolutely worst. But you guys are the best. Thank you as always for rolling with me. Thank y'all out there for listening and watching. This episode of Lyle's Movie Files has been filed.